Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on our agenda is Executive Director.
Sure, so I will jump right in here. Let me pull up my document. A few things to report on. Grayson County is official. I know I mentioned last meeting that they were going to be approving on May the 10th. They did approve. So that is our final division that we've heard from. We are officially 17 of 19. I will touch on this item a little bit later. We sent out a survey with a due date of May the 14th to get our MOP selections. Every superintendent got that back to me. I will share those a little bit later on in the meeting. Ultimately, though, Edgenuity, 12 districts opted to work with Edgenuity, 7 districts will be working with Stride, and 11 will be working with Virtual Virginia. Some of those are crossovers, meaning the divisions chose more than one provider, which was perfectly fine. Okay, I have been working diligently with providers to create step-by-step enrollment procedures, and I'm really trying to streamline this process as much as possible. They have, a lot of these providers are not used to working with what we've got going on, and so I'm trying to find what is the best way to, and I'm admitting people as I go, what is the best way to enroll our students that takes the bulk of that work off of our school divisions. That's my goal. So I'm working on that. I've touched base with them several times this week and had meetings with their SIS people and their technology coordinators, and we're working on that. I have created a Google form specifically for Stride for those divisions that don't utilize the Excel sheet that I sent out. But all of those are some logistics regarding enrollment that we're working on. Once I have those procedures in place, I will email and communicate those with our divisions, as well as put them in our school manual for easy access, and even potentially on our website. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. I have scheduled enrollment and SIS meetings. So Virtual Virginia on May the 31st, and Stride and Edgenuity are both on June the 2nd at different times, so that anybody enrolling students can attend that meeting for a question and answer session. This, I think, would be the best way to do it, because I want the other divisions to hear from each other the questions that are asked. So I did make it all in a group rather than separated by division. So those meetings are available. They've been communicated to key instructional leaders, SIS managers, as well as superintendents. I have received word that I will be able to get weekly or bi-weekly reports from all 3 providers. That will allow me to touch base on attendance as well as grades, and really reach out to those families that aren't working, and maybe even congratulate and kudos to those families that are doing well. So I will receive those reports and be able to serve as, I view myself as the principal of the virtual students, I guess, in some capacity. So I can touch base with those students as necessary, which was a good thing to hear. They're gonna meet us and provide that for me. A registration form was sent for optional use. Most divisions are using a Google form they've created on their own to some capacity. That was open and an option. Let me see. I have been presenting to school boards. I've presented to Radford, Pulaski, and actually I did Giles this afternoon at 4:30. I've got WISE scheduled. So again, I reiterate, if you would like me to present to your board, I'm more than happy to do so. I have about a 10-minute presentation just to give people the basics. I certainly don't want to take up time, though, if you're not ready to have me. So whenever you would like, just please let me know. And as Tammy sent out, the last email that you received from Tammy was included the final contracts. So those, I have not sent those documents formally to superintendents. I will do so tomorrow, but those documents went back and forth between attorneys, and they are now finalized, which we're happy to have. So I will share those with superintendents in the morning. That is my executive director's report. Do you all have anything for me or questions you may have? Okay, Dr. Grinstead, thank you.
Okay, I think it's Robert, we doing the financial agent report, or is Keith Perry?
That was Robert Graham. He has, and he sent those. Did you ask if he was redoing them?
No, I said, are you going to be presenting them for him, or?
We can. They were sent for review. Does anybody have any questions about them? I took a look at them, but I would probably, Dr. Perigin could probably speak to those better than I could.
Kaylin, the only thing I would add to that is, this is the first time we've provided those financials. If board members would like to see something different, we certainly can do that. We're obviously in good financial shape, especially with the addition of some new members coming on. But if members would like to see something different or more detail, certainly let us know. And I know Rob would be happy to provide additional detail.
And additionally, I would add, we have mentioned letting you see those. Those were obviously March and April. Would you like those provided quarterly, semi-annually? How often would you like those? Because I noticed that those two were by month, and we can share them that way. But if it would be better to group them up in a bulk and have it on one meeting for maybe three months at a time, we're fine to do that as well. Just let us know.
Quarterly sounds good.
I'm sorry, say again?
Quarterly would be good.
Okay.
Our board actually asked about them last week. I'll be honest, I'd be more comfortable monthly.
Okay.
If that's okay, because it comes up almost every board meeting, and we happen to be the fiscal agent, so we can speak to it, but having that report monthly, I think, could benefit others.
Sure.
If it's not too big of too much of a hassle.
I don't think it's any hassle at all.
He called me a few minutes ago. And said, if anyone has any questions, please send him an email, or Carrie, if you have any questions regarding the financials.
Dr. Ray, I think it would be very simple. I think it's just a matter of the data is already in the system. It's just a matter of hitting print and exporting it once a month. So that's really no big deal at all.
Okay. Thank you.
I was also curious to see a little bit more detail, just in terms of, I was just curious how many employees were covered, or if it's just the one salary on that. That's basically all the expenditure that was there to date. But just a little more clarity or detail on that would be interesting to me.
I think the only thing that's been spent thus far is salary and cell phone, printer, things like that our executive director had to have. To my knowledge, that's all that's been spent.
That's to my
Is that
knowledge.
accurate?
Yeah, that is right. And there is, we only have the one employee, so that anything that you see in the personnel side that's actually, we could just change that to Caitlin, because she is our only employee. We do have some attorney bills that are coming due with review of those contracts and putting together our constitution, but those will show up next month.
That's what I was going to add, that you will see some attorney charges potentially on the next bill or the month after.
And the clerk, correct? Will we pay the clerk?
That is correct. Right. Yes. There is a stipend for the treasurer and the clerk.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have a form?
Let me check again. I think we're one short. Yes, we're still one short of a quorum. I guess part of the issue of having more people means we have to have more folks show up. With 19 members, we have to have at least half, and so we need to be at 10, and we're.
Did you count me? I just logged in. This is Irene. Did you count me? I just logged on.
Let me count again. There. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, we still have, we're at 9.
Okay. So that means we can't approve the minutes. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So let's go on to our discussion items. The MOP selection survey results.
Sure, I'm just going to quickly share my screen on this one. You'll be able to see the results, and literally it's by division. I've got a couple tabs tabs on this spreadsheet, but these are the divisions that chose Edgenuity to partner as their provider. Bland, Bristol, Buchanan, Carroll, Dickinson, Galax, Grayson, Norton, Pulaski, Russell, Smith, and Wise. Those who chose Stride: Bland, Bristol, Giles, Norton, Radford, Tazewell, Washington. And those who chose Virtual Virginia, I will put a caveat here. Virtual Virginia has been able to be used throughout the process. So I think a lot of the students enrolled with Virtual Virginia will be those part-time students, maybe taking a course here and a course there. The bulk of our full-time enrollments are going to come from Edgenuity and Stride, potentially. But that's not to say it's not going to happen. That's just a caveat to these names. Bland, Bristol, Buchanan, Carroll, Galax, Norton, Radford, Smith, Tazewell, Washington, and With. And so it was spread pretty evenly throughout. I think our providers, I have communicated with our providers that these divisions have selected them and they are reaching out as appropriate. We were waiting on those contracts to get through. Now that those are in, I'll send those out tomorrow and we can really start getting those students. If those divisions have those students ready to enroll, we can really start getting those students enrolled. I don't know that we're there yet for a lot of the divisions. It's that crunch time, chaotic time of the year, but we're getting closer every day. I know most divisions have sent out surveys and are starting to get a list of names back, but we're not quite to the enrollment time, but we're getting there.
Any questions? Okay. Our next meeting, when should we have our next meeting planned?
Dr. Grinstead, I would make a recommendation now that we've got everything up and rolling, that we may not need to have a monthly meeting. Initially we had talked about meeting quarterly after we got our feet underneath us. It may be time, if appropriate, if the board is so inclined, to start meeting on a quarterly basis. But again, that's just a suggestion from me. I know some other superintendents agree, but obviously this is y'all's board, so we'll be happy to oblige in either direction you want to go.
Quarterly sounds good to me. So what date would that fit on? Or do you need to get back with?
I would recommend the third Thursday in August, which would be August the 19th.
Okay. Is that okay if the members present?
Fine with me.
Yes, that should be fine.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
problem? Okay, so our next meeting will be August 19th at 6:30 p.m. And then if something happens, we need to call a special meeting, we can do that. Okay, future business.
I do have an attendance policy that I'm working on implementing, or I'm running it by the steering committee. That will need to be an action item to approve that attendance policy at that next meeting. I'm trying to think, Dr. Perigin, do you think that will be too far in advance, that meeting, or do we need to get that approved prior?
Well, I think that's up to everybody else. Some school divisions will already have started school by August the 19th. I know that the attendance policy will probably look different in every division. I think as long as the superintendents have a copy of what the general expectations are up front, I think it certainly could wait till approval on the 19th.
Okay.
Would it be possible, if you need it, to send it out and get a poll vote on it?
Absolutely, and I think also to get feedback from the board members after the steering committee has added to the draft, I think that would be perfect.
We have a cutoff date for students that want to go with the virtual academy.
Each division has put in place their own deadline for those students to enroll. And so I do not have an academy deadline because we've left that flexibility up to those divisions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have anything else?
Dr. Green said if it's okay, I'd like to bring up two potential items for future business.
Okay.
Item number one is because all three providers enroll on a semester basis, and because Senate Bill 1303 requires school divisions to allow a student to return to in-person learning at any time that they wish, there could be a possibility that we have a kid who starts in virtual, decides to return to in-person, and we're still on the hook for a portion of that semester bill with any of the three providers. We have requested from the department to allow us to use our ESSER funds to pay what we would lose in that situation. We're waiting on a ruling on that. I just wanted to make sure folks were aware that in the situation where a child starts virtual but changes their mind to go in person, we really don't have any control over that. Senate Bill 1303 requires that we approve it. So there is a potential that you could be on the hook for a portion of a virtual student's tuition. However, we do think the Department of Ed is going to give us some flexibility to use our ESSER funds for that. The other thing that I would also like to mention, if other divisions are like Bristol and some other colleagues I've spoken with, the amount of money that we've received in CARES and ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 and the restrictions that are placed upon us is going to really make it difficult for us to spend that amount of money over the course of the next 2 to 3 years. And so I would recommend that that board members and superintendents think about potentially going ahead and using some of that money to make the virtual academy stable for the next 2 or 3 years. And this year, it's $10,000 per year for each division to join. And so we could potentially go ahead and make us, give us 2 or 3 years of stability if we paid that in advance, and we can use our ESSER funds for that. Another $20,000 per division would take us into year 2023, 2024. Just something to think about before our next meeting.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? I want to thank each of you for attending our meeting tonight. If there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, so we're adjourned. Again, thank each of you for attending tonight. Talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.